The hunt begins. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with nervous energy as representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for an emergency session. Commander Crix of the Zephonian Empire stood at the central podium, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the harsh, artificial light. His forearms trembled slightly as he delivered the impossible news. "The human has been located in Sector 47B, he announced, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. "She destroyed our advance fleet, 37 warships, gone in minutes." The chamber erupted in chaotic whispers. How could one human, a member of a species they'd nearly exterminated, pose such a threat? The Terran purge had been completed 5 years ago. Earth was nothing but radioactive dust. Yet somehow one had survived. "Impossible," shrieked Ambassador Vector, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "Humans are primitive. They barely achieved faster-than-light travel before we ended them." Commander Crix's compound eyes focused on the holographic display. "This one is different. She calls herself Nova. Our intelligence suggests she was off-world during the purge, working as a deep space miner. When she returned and found Earth destroyed, he didn't need to finish. They all understood. They'd created their own worst nightmare, a human with nothing left to lose. "Deploy the 7th Fleet," ordered High Chancellor Myrix, her melodious voice cutting through the chaos. "Capture her alive. We need to understand how she's doing this." 3 days later, mining colony Delta 7 drifted silently through the asteroid field. The colony had gone dark 12 hours ago. Its last transmission, a garbled scream, cut short. Commander Crix led the boarding party personally, his elite soldiers moving through the empty corridors with weapons raised. "Life signs?" he whispered into his comm unit. "Negative, sir. Wait. I'm picking up something in the main processing chamber." They found her there, sitting casually on a crate of processed ore. Nova appeared unremarkable at first glance. Average height, dark hair tied back, wearing a modified mining suit. But her eyes, those predatory human eyes, tracked their every movement with unsettling precision. "Took you long enough," she said, not bothering to stand. "I was starting to get bored." "Surrender now," Crix commanded, his plasma rifle aimed at her head. "You're surrounded." Nova smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. "Am I?" The lights went out. In the darkness, Crix heard the screams of his soldiers, the sound of weapons firing wildly, then silence. When emergency power restored minimal lighting, he stood alone. His entire squad had vanished. "You want to know my secret?" Nova's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Humans aren't special because of our technology or our strength. We're special because we adapt, we survive. And when you take everything from us, we become something else entirely." Crix spun around, searching for her. "What are you?" "I'm what happens when you genocide a species and miss one." She materialized behind him, moving faster than his eyes could track. "I'm your reckoning." The commander's report, transmitted moments before the 7th Fleet lost contact, sent shockwaves through the hegemony. 43 capital ships, over 100,000 personnel, simply gone. No debris field. No distress calls. Just empty space where a fleet had been. "She's using our own technology against us," explained Chief Scientist Zarlok during the emergency briefing. "Somehow she's learned to manipulate quantum fields, bend space-time on a localized level. It should be impossible for human physiology. Yet, here we are," interrupted Admiral Kess, her scaled skin shifting colors with agitation. "One human has eliminated more firepower than most species possess in their entire military." "How?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Former Ambassador Yira, now imprisoned for opposing the Terran purge, laughed from her cell when they questioned her. "You fools never understood humans," she said. "They don't just use tools, they become them. That mining suit she wears? She's integrated it into her nervous system. The colony's quantum processors? She's networked them into her brain. Every piece of technology you've ever created, she can interface with directly." "That's impossible," Zarlok protested. The biological strain alone would kill any other species, Yura finished. But humans are stubborn. They refuse to accept limitations, especially when motivated by grief and rage. You didn't just take her world, you took her species. And now she's rewriting the rules of what's possible. The Hunter fleet, pride of the Zephonian Empire, lasted exactly 17 minutes. Security footage showed Nova walking through their flagship's corridors, reality bending around her. Soldiers fired weapons that suddenly didn't exist. Bulkheads became liquid. Gravity reversed without warning. She left one survivor, Captain Dex, found cowering in an escape pod. His message was simple. She says the hunt is over. Now she's coming for the hunters. The Galactic Council reconvened in a fortified bunker deep beneath the capital world's surface. Fear permeated the chamber like a toxic gas. They'd spent centuries as apex predators. Now they knew how prey felt. Perhaps negotiation, someone suggested. She doesn't negotiate. High Chancellor Myrix cut them off. Our spies report she's been recruiting criminals, outcasts, anyone with a grudge against the hegemony. She's building something. An army? Worse, a revolution. The lights flickered. Impossible. This bunker was powered by 3 independent fusion reactors. The lights flickered again, then died completely. In the darkness, a human voice echoed. Knock, knock. Panic erupted. Security forces fired blindly. Shields activated, then failed. When emergency lighting finally activated, Nova stood at the chamber's center, as casual as if she'd been invited. Hello, everyone, she said pleasantly. I thought it was time we had a chat. You've been trying so hard to find me. I felt bad, making you wait. High Chancellor Myrix found her voice first. What do you want? Justice. But since that's impossible, my entire species is dead. I'll settle for change. Nova's eyes scanned the terrified faces. Your hegemony ends today. You have 2 choices: agree to my terms or watch me dismantle everything you've built, system by system, world by world. You're just one human, someone shouted. Nova's smile was sharp as a knife. So was I when you started hunting me. How's that working out? She vanished, reappeared by the exit. You have 72 hours to decide. Oh, and don't bother running. There's nowhere in this galaxy I can't find you. After she left, the silence was deafening. The hunt was over. The real nightmare had just begun. Predator turned prey. The hegemony's response came in the form of the elite hunter squad, 12 of the deadliest assassins from across the galaxy. Each was a legend in their own right. Together, they'd never failed a mission. They lasted 4 hours. Nova found their leader, a Vraxian ghost warrior named Sikath, floating in a medical pod aboard her commandeered dreadnought. She'd left him alive but paralyzed from the neck down, forced to watch as she reprogrammed the ship's systems. You're wondering how, she said without looking up from her work. Your cloaking technology is based on light manipulation, but humans can sense changes in air pressure, temperature, even electromagnetic fields. Evolution made us paranoid. You made us dangerous. Kill me, Sikath gasped. No, you're going to deliver a message. She turned to face him, and he saw something in her eyes that made his warrior's heart freeze. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them resistance is futile. The trap at Nebula's edge was elaborate. 3 full battle groups, exotic weapons designed, specifically to counter human physiology, and a gravity well generator to prevent escape. Admiral Kess supervised personally from her command ship. She's approaching the nebula now, reported the tactical officer. Shall we spring the trap? Wait, let her get deeper. This time we end this. Nova's ship, a retrofitted mining vessel she'd named Consequence, drifted into the nebula's outer clouds. The moment she crossed the predetermined line, the trap activated. Gravity spiked, energy weapons fired, containment fields snapped, into place. For 30 seconds it seemed to work. Then reality hiccuped. The Admiral watched in horror as space itself seemed to fold. Her 3 battle groups were suddenly firing on each other, the gravity well inverted, crushing 2 destroyers. The containment fields trapped her own ships. How? She whispered. The answer came over the comm system. You're still thinking like predators. Nova's voice was calm, almost sad. Predators attack, prey survive. And humans? We've been prey before. We learned. One by one, the hegemony's ships switched sides. Not through destruction, but defection. Nova had been busy. Every world the hegemony had conquered, every species they'd subjugated, she'd contacted them. Offered them something the hegemony never had. Choice. Your crews are 70% conscripts from conquered worlds, Nova explained as another dreadnought lowered its shields and joined her fleet. Did you really think they'd die for their oppressors when offered freedom? Admiral Kess watched her fleet dissolve. The Council will never surrender. Then the Council will fall. The revelation of the hegemony's dark secret came from their own archives. Nova broadcasted on every frequency to every inhabited world. The Terran Purge wasn't unique. Over the past millennium, 17 species had been completely eliminated. Earth was just the latest. But Earth was different, Nova's message continued. We left something behind. Not just ruins or weapons, but an idea. That one person, properly motivated, can change everything. The hegemony taught me that. Now I'm teaching you. Rebellions erupted across the galaxy. Worlds that had been silent for centuries suddenly found their voice. The hegemony's military, stretched thin from hunting one human, couldn't contain the fires of revolution spreading through their territory. In the depths of space, Nova met with her growing alliance. The bridge of the consequence had become a war room where former enemies stood side by side, Vraxians who'd lost their homeworld, Quellans whose culture had been erased, dozens of species united by shared loss. They'll use doomsday weapons next, warned Kolath, a Brendan tactical genius who'd defected after learning about his people's scheduled extinction. Planet killers, star destroyers, they'll burn the galaxy to keep control. Nova nodded. Let them try. I've already uploaded the defense protocols to every ship in our fleet. Their weapons won't work. How can you be certain? She smiled sadly. Because I helped design them. Before Earth burned, I was a quantum engineer. I built their doomsday weapons. Every backdoor, every weakness, I know them all. The coalition forces crumbled as world after world declared independence. The Hegemony Council, once rulers of 1,000 systems, found themselves controlling, barely 100, and those were shrinking daily. High Chancellor Myrix authorized the unthinkable, deployment of the Omega Protocol, weapons that could crack planets like eggs, reduce stars to cold cinders. If they couldn't rule the galaxy, they'd ensure no one could. They activated the first device in the Keller system, a world that had just declared independence. Nothing happened. The planet killers simply shut down. Impossible, Chief Scientist Zarlock muttered, checking his instruments. The authorization codes were correct. The device was functional. A message appeared on every screen. Nice try. Love, Nova. The second device exploded in its silo. Not a devastating explosion, just enough to render it useless. The third vanished entirely, transported to unknown coordinates. One by one, every doomsday weapon the hegemony possessed was neutralized. How? Myrix demanded. The answer came during an emergency council session. Nova appeared again, but this time she wasn't alone. Representatives from 50 species stood with her. Former enemies united by her leadership. You're wondering about your weapons, she said conversationally. Remember when you sent me the offer to surrender? I counter-offered with access to your quantum network. You refused, but you'd already established the connection. That's all I needed. You hacked our entire defense grid through a diplomatic channel? No. I became your defense grid. Every circuit, every quantum processor, every AI system, they all run through me now. Your technology isn't yours anymore. It's mine. Silence filled the chamber. They'd created the perfect weapon against themselves, A human with unlimited access to their own systems and the motivation to use it. 72 hours, Nova reminded them. You've used 60. 12 hours to decide surrender and face justice, or watch everything you've built serve someone else. After she left, the council faced the truth. They weren't the hunters anymore. They were cornered animals, and the human they'd tried to exterminate had become something beyond their comprehension. The predator had become prey. And prey, as Nova had taught them, knew how to survive. The galaxy's new order, the final confrontation, came at Zenith Prime, capital of the hegemony. One human in a modified mining vessel against 1,000 warships, the last desperate concentration of hegemony power. Every military asset they could muster surrounded their throne world. High Chancellor Myrix stood on the bridge of the Supremacy, her most powerful dreadnought. All weapons target the human vessel. On my mark, Chancellor. The tactical officer's voice cracked. She's everywhere. The holographic display showed the impossible. Nova's ship had replicated itself. 1,000 identical vessels faced the hegemony fleet. Then 2,000, then 10,000. The quantum signatures were all real. Which one is really her? Someone whispered. All of them. Nova's voice echoed from every speaker. None of them. I learned something funny about quantum mechanics. At the subatomic level, particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Turns out, with enough processing power, so can people. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted precisely 90 seconds. The hegemony fired everything. Plasma cannons, dimensional disruptors, temporal weapons. Their shots passed through. Ghost ships hit their own vessels or simply ceased to exist. Nova's response was elegant. Every hegemony ship found its weapon systems reversed. Shields became prisons. Engines pushed them backward. Artificial gravity increased until crews couldn't move. In 90 seconds, the most powerful fleet in galactic history was neutralized, without a single casualty. Surrender. Nova's voice was tired now. Please. I don't want to hurt anyone else. But I will not let you hurt others again. The surrender ceremony took place in the council chamber where it all began. Nova stood before the assembled representatives, no longer hiding, no longer running. She'd traded her mining suit for simple clothes. She looked remarkably ordinary. The hegemony is dissolved, she announced. Each world will govern itself, trade will be free, knowledge will be shared, and never again will one species hold dominion over another. What about justice? Demanded a Vraxian representative. They destroyed 17 species. Justice died with Earth, Nova replied quietly. But we can have something better. Prevention. I'm establishing the Sentinel Protocol. Any attempt at genocide, any war of extinction, will trigger an immediate response. Not from a government or alliance, but from me. You can't police the entire galaxy, she smiled. Watch me. I'm quantum linked to every piece of technology more advanced than a light bulb. I exist in every network, every database, every ship computer. Try to build a weapon of mass destruction and I'll know. Try to wipe out a species and I'll stop you. You're making yourself our dictator, High Chancellor Myrix accused. No, I'm making myself unnecessary. Behave yourselves and you'll never hear from me again. Start another genocide and you'll wish you'd only heard from me. The truth about Nova emerged slowly. Her real name was Sarah Chen. Before becoming a deep space miner, she'd been Earth's leading quantum theorist. Her doctoral thesis had proposed the very technology the hegemony later used for their weapons. I spent 5 years preparing, she explained during a rare interview. Not planning revenge, but understanding. Why did they fear us? What made humanity such a threat that they'd commit genocide? And we adapt. Other species evolve over millions of years. Humans adapt in a single generation. They saw that and were terrified. So they tried to stop it. Instead, they accelerated it. You've evolved? She laughed. No, I've just adapted. To a galaxy without humans. Turns out, when you're the last of your kind, you either die or become something new. I chose to become what the galaxy needed, a guardian. The new era began with the Great Reconciliation. Former hegemony worlds made reparations to species they'd oppressed. Technology was shared freely. The quantum network Nova controlled ensured fair distribution of resources. Some called her a ghost in the machine. Others whispered of the human specter, the invisible presence that prevented atrocities. Children were told that if they were good, the guardian would protect them. If they were bad, she would know. Nova herself rarely appeared in person. She existed primarily as a quantum consciousness, monitoring, guiding, occasionally intervening. When asked if she was lonely, she responded, "I carry the memories of 7 billion humans. I'm never alone. And someday, when the galaxy has learned to govern itself with compassion, when genocide is unthinkable rather than merely impossible, I'll rest. Until then, I'm here." The Regenesis project began in Earth's system. Using archived genetic material and quantum reconstruction, Nova started the impossible, bringing humanity back. Not as they were, but as they could be. Enhanced, adapted, ready for a galaxy that had learned to fear human potential. "They won't be like me," she assured the nervous galaxy. "They'll be better. They'll have what I never had. A future without loss. A chance to be what humanity should have been." The first new human was born on a restored Earth exactly 10 years after the Purge. By then, Nova's reforms had transformed the galaxy. Wars still happened, but extinction was impossible. Species competed and cooperated, but none dominated. In her final public address, Nova stood on Earth's rebuilt capital. She looked older, though nobody knew if quantum beings aged. "The galaxy wanted me dead," she said. "Now it just wants to survive." Good. That's all any of us want. To survive, to thrive, to leave something better for our children. "Will you stay?" a reporter asked. "I'll always be here. In every network, every system, every quantum field." "But Sarah Chen? She died with Earth the first time. I'm just the echo that refused to fade. Now I can finally rest, knowing the galaxy doesn't need a guardian anymore. It needs neighbors, friends, family." She smiled one last time. "Be good to each other. I'll be watching." Nova vanished. Not in a flash of light or dramatic exit. She simply stopped being visible. But across the galaxy, in every computer core and quantum processor, her presence remained. Watching, protecting, ensuring that never again would one species face extinction while the galaxy watched. The hunter who became the hunted. The last human who saved a galaxy. The woman who became an idea. And the idea that became eternal. And in the night sky over a restored Earth, sometimes people claimed they could see her smile in the stars. A reminder that even in the darkest hour, one person could change everything. The galaxy had learned its lesson. There would be no more genocides, no more purges. Because somewhere in the quantum foam of space-time, Nova was watching. And she never forgot.